Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker, and today we'll be taking a look at the top 8 deck lists for a 28-person event that took place at the Cerberus Den on the 17th of August. Cerberus Den is a venue that we've covered before. They quite regularly run Lorcana events, and they're known to be host to an awful lot of very talented players, so it's always very interesting to see the deck lists that come out from their events. And of course, this is set 5, so we're very, very keen, and these lists are super, super spicy. I'm very excited to go through them. I was preparing for my video for fun rogue decks for set 5, or at least starting points for them. I teased one of the lists the other day with my first actual Ratigan list, but I've got a bunch more to show, and I was going to do that, but then these lists pop up, and we always prioritize the meta. But just a little plug for that. Keep an eye out for that. But yeah, we're keen to see these lists. So a quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Cardmarket. If you're looking for Lorcana singles at competitive rates, then check out Cardmarket. But let's jump straight in and take a look at the top 8 deck lists. Alright, so far the meta has seemed super open, and I still think it is. We've got some really cool lists to look at. But taking first place, we have SteelSong, which also took first place at the Battle Bear event right at the beginning of format. A lot of players, a lot of content creators flagging this as potential first best deck in format. I say first because obviously as metas adapt, things can change. But yeah, it seems like a very strong contender for the new meta. And here we have in first place Holly rocking that SteelSong. So SteelSong wanted to take advantage of low-cost singers such as Cinderella, who's a singer 3, Ursula, who's a singer 4, and Ariel, who's a singer 5. And Ariel can also hopefully find you songs from the top 4 cards of the deck. And yeah, they want to use these characters to sing these powerful, higher-cost songs. When suitable, we want to use something like Ariel to sing, play as much of our hand out as we can, and to sing a whole new world so that we completely replenish our resources. Or start your turn by singing whole new world, and then hopefully you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 ink to play with to continue to extend. Also running a 4/4 Robin Hood line is a good way to be an early singer, as the champion of Sherwood is shift 3. Also running 3 copies of the new Daisy Duck Donald's Date, who's that 1-cost uninkable 1/4 quest for 2, and on quest your opponent looks at the top card of their deck. If it's a character, add it to their hand. If not, they put it to the bottom of the deck. Daisy, a card that is more often than not going to get at least 2 quests off. There are some things that players can do to combat it, stuff like Lumiere on curve, or if you play it later on in the game, then obviously falls into range of Medusa, Brawl, Sisus, things like that. But putting this down on 1, you're normally going to get at least 2 quests off, and she's just such a great aggressive character. We've got 4 copies of Smee for incredible stats, 4 copies of the new Pete, Games Referee, 3-cost inkable 3/3 quest for 1, and when you play this character, opponents can't play actions until the start of your next turn. So if we are able to just flood the field with lots of low-cost characters and then put down Pete to stop our opponent being able to play something like a Be Prepared, or multiple copies of something like Grab Your Swords, then that's going to be absolutely game-changing. So Pete seems pretty solidified so far in SteelSong list. That could change. We're also seeing 4 copies of the new Alana Dale, 4-cost inkable 2/3 quest for 2, and whenever you play a song, gain 1 lore. So obviously the name of the game here is to be playing songs as regularly as possible. I think this is far better than Flute. I'm a big fan of Alana Dale. I said he was going to be an integral part of SteelSong, and I was upset to not see him in the list so far, but here clearly putting in some work. We've got 2 copies of the new Prince Naveen, 4-cost uninkable 3/3 quest for 2. He's a singer 6, and on play you can play a song of 6 cost or less for free. So really, I think a lot of the time you would rather be singing your song with Ariel or Robin Hood, so you then have ink to play with to play some of that new hand. But if you're not able to if you can't find them, or if you're not able to make them stick, then Prince Naveen can also sort of just be a panic button to be like, okay, I pay 4, put this down, play the whole new world. It's a slower turn, but at least you're still getting the hand refresh. And hey, if you're just using it to play something like Zeus or Criminal Mind, Bare Necessities, that's not the worst thing in the world, and you're still sticking a singer 6 on the board, and 3/3 quest for 2 is pretty reasonable. We got 3 copies of Rapunzel to be an alternative way of drawing cards if we don't want to play the whole new world, and then for our songs we've got 3 copies of Bare Necessity to snipe those non-character songs. Pete was obviously one way that we can prevent actions, but Bare Necessities can also do it and get rid of locations, items, things like that. We've got 2 copies of the world's greatest criminal Criminal Mind, which banishes a character of 5 cost or more. We're not seeing that Queen Shift line in here, which synergizes with this song very well, but there are a lot of characters of 5 strength or more, even more since set 5. Obviously, we already had things like Maui, Tamatoa, Maleficent, the Floodborn Sisu, even potentially the 3-cost Ingerwolf Sisu could be in this range. So there were already a good amount of targets, but now you add things like Clarabelle and Simba to that, and there'll be a couple more. So yeah, this seems super online, and it's inkable. 4 copies of Storm, 4 copies of Strength for ping damage, 3 copies of Along Came Zeus for a hard 5 and can help with locations, and I think this is a great song to immediately sing with Naveen, and then of course those 4 copies of A Whole New World. So yeah, big fan of the Alana Dale finding his way into the list. I do like the Queen line in SteelSong, especially with World's Greatest, so I would probably look to try and fit that in, but then there's nothing I really want to completely cut. I'd probably just end up going to lower counts of things. I like the Alana Dales, but yeah, this list looks really good, so huge congratulations to Holly on first place. And our other SteelSong list in top 8, in top 4 specifically, we have Ryan with a toolbox variant. For our singers, standard stuff going on here for Cinderella, 3 Ursula, 4 Ariel. We've got the 4/4 Robin Hood line, we've got the 4 Ariel, but we have 2 Benja to remove opposing items, which I think feels pretty online at the moment. A lot of decks are looking to jam items. Just 3 copies of Pete, 2 copies of Daisy, once again the 2 Naveen, we're on 4 Rapunzel here, and then we're also seeing 2 copies of Perdita, 6 cost uninkable, 1/6 quest for 2, and on play and on quest you can play a character with cost 2 or less from your discard for free. So that's Cinderella, Daisy, Robin Hood, Ursula, Smee. That's a lot of targets. I'm a big fan of Perdita. We've got 2 copies of Tinkerbell to be a nice mid-game bit of board control. We're also seeing 2 copies of the Stout-Hearted Cinderella that can shift onto our 1-drop for 5. 5/5 quest for 3, resist 2, and Singing Sword. When you play a song you can challenge ready characters. Such a huge body, and a lot of decks can really struggle to answer this. And then for our songs, we're seeing those 3 bare necessities. Once again, 1 copy of Criminal Mind, 4 Storm, 3 Strength, 3 Zeus, 4 copies of Whole New World. We're seeing 2 copies of Grab Your Swords in this list, and we're also seeing 2 copies of Be Our Guest, which you very, very rarely see nowadays. This was staple set 1, obviously, because we didn't have a lot of choice. You saw it a bit in set 2, but yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Be Our Guest making its way into SteelSong list, but clearly did very well for Ryan, so huge congratulations to them. Going to second place now, we have the first of 2 Blurple lists. Blurple putting in some work early set 5. So yeah, we've got all the draw and all the ramps. So let's look at our Amethyst package first. Running 4 copies of Chernobog's Followers for card draw, 2 copies of Rafiki with that Challenger 3, which is going to help you get around bodyguards, and it's just a good number to hit. Help you with bodies, locations, things like that. We've got 4 copies of the new Cogsworth, 1 cost inkable, 1/1 quest for 1, and on play you give rush to any character. That can include himself. I'm underwhelmed by Cogsworth so far. I'm not going to lie. Like, he's cool. Like, and there have been decks I've built in the past where I was like, I've been half tempted to run, I think we had Cut to the Chase, and then we got an Amethyst 1-drop card, which gives rush. But at the end of the day, they're just bad. And having it on a body is really good, and a body that you can bounce back and reuse seems really good. But I don't know, man. Like, Blurple is definitely the place for him, if anything else, I would say. But I don't know, even then, I'm still not completely sold on the Cogsworth. But a lot of players really enjoying Cogsworth, so I may well be wrong. Bounce package, we've got 4 Snake, 4 Fox, 3 of those Crab that I think are super online at the moment. We've got 4 copies of the new Elsa, the 5th Spirit, 5 cost inkable, 2, 5 quest for 1. You exert a character on play, and she has rush and evasive, so a nice little set of effects, but she is also a shift target for the 2 copies of Elsa, Spirit of Winter, 8 cost uninkable, 4/6 quest for 3, shift 6, and on play, exert up to 2 chosen characters they can't ready at the start of the next turn. Still an incredibly powerful card, and we just lacked a decent enough shift target for it. I mean, we have had other Elsas, but they were all just a bit underwhelming. But this Elsa 5th Spirit, while on her own, I'm still not a huge fan. I think one of the main reasons to play her is because then you have an excuse to run this Spirit of Winter. And hey, the 5 cost is still a decent set of effects, decent stat line. So yeah, in Blurple, I love this line. We've got 2 copies of Yzma, Scary Beyond All Reason, 6 cost inkable, 4/4 quest for 2, shift is irrelevant, and on play, shuffle chosen character into their owner's deck. That player draws 2 cards, so this can be it's very similar to the Emerald You're Welcome song card we got in set 5. You can just remove a threat from the board, and of course you're also getting around sort of like things like Mufasa that want to be in the discard. But yeah, just get rid of a threat or return one of your own characters. And we've got a lot of, we're super low to the ground, so just an extra 2-card draw for us. And again, 4/4 quest for 2 is pretty good. We've got the new Kuzco, Temperamental Emperor, no, Selfish Emperor. Temperamental was the Emerald in Chapter 1. 6-cost Inkwell, 3/5 quest for 2. On play, put an item or location into their player's Inkwell, face down and exerted. So great for getting rid of those Queen's Castles, those lucky dimes so they can't be brought back with Tamatoa, things like that. And you could do it. We're not running any items. You wouldn't want to do it on your own, to your own stuff. Like, I think if you're running things like Porpsicle and stuff, it's maybe a little bit more reasonable, maybe, sometimes. Nonetheless, this is for opposing ones. We got 2 copies of the new Ana, Mystical Majesty, 7-cost uninkable, 4/5 quest for 2. Shift 4 is unfortunately irrelevant. There are low-cost Anas, but none of them are great. An exceptional power. When you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Super strong effect. I'm not a huge fan of this without us having a decent enough Ana to shift onto, to be honest. There we go. Like, you should have this online at a reasonable point in the game because we're ramp. But I don't know. I feel like Elsa just does this better, like at the cost of another uninkable. I'm not completely sold on the Ana. We've got 2 copies of Hades, 7-cost uninkable, 3/6 quest for 2, and on play you put a character into their player's Inkwell face down. So again, just getting rid of threats. 4 friends for the draw. Just 1 copy of the Queen's Castle. Instead, opting for 4 copies of the new Library, 3-cost inkable, 1/8, 1 passive lore gain, and whenever a character is banished while there, you draw a card. Super spicy looking list. I'm not completely sold on the Ana. And while I think like there is definitely an argument to at least a count of Cogsworth, I don't know. Like I would personally, I'd probably be prioritizing the Rafiki, going to a 4 Rafiki. And to be honest, like I kind of want the Olaf in here, to be honest, because I like the synergy with Crab. Yeah, not completely sold on the Ana. Cogsworth, I'm sold on the Cogsworth, just not necessarily the count. But the whole deck looks super, super good, super fun. Blurple early set doing really, really well. I missed 4 Mickey here and 4 Grand Martala for additional draw. And for Cruella de Vil as well, to hit evasive characters, which with that 3 strength can deal with Diablo at Cove. Not that I think you're going to see him that much anymore. I don't know if the Cruella de Vils necessarily need to be in here either. Maybe I might be wrong. But overall, a super good looking list and led Mike to 2nd place. So what do I know? So congratulations to Mike. Oh, yeah, and I was literally waiting until I got to the end to point out, no rabbits, no goats. I don't know, man. Like, I think some of those Cogsworth can go. I think those Anas can go. I think I'd be wanting them. You're drawing off of friends on the other side. You're drawing off of if you target yourself with Yzma. I don't know. I personally like. The 2nd place though, like. I don't know, what a statement. I don't know if you're a braver person than me, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, what a statement. And in top 4 with our other Blurple list, we have Chad. This is Chad Clare, I believe, a player I'm familiar with. They've been around the Lorcana community quite a while. A very good player. Lots of success under their belt so far. So yeah, a player I respect. So very keen to look at this list and look at the spice we've got going on. So let's look at our Amethyst package first. A lot of these characters we just talked about. We are seeing 2 copies of Goat and the 4 copies of Merlin Rabbit in here. We're also seeing 2 copies of Belle, Accomplished Mystic, 5-cost inkable, 4/4 quest for 2. Shift is irrelevant. And on play, move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So this is, I mean, it comes online maybe a little late, but it can help you with aggro if you can have gotten damage on some of your bigger bodies, like your Snake, even potentially like things like your Mickey. And again, it's inkable. I had 2 copies of Belle in my original Blurple list, so I understand the temptation. We're seeing that 4/2 Elsa line. We're seeing 3 copies of the Madam Mim Elephant, 4-cost inkable, 3/7 quest for 1. She's got that Mim bounce effect, and then at the start of your turn, you can move up to 2 damage from this character chosen opposing character. So another way of dealing with wide boards with low willpower. We're seeing 1 copy of that big bad Mufasa, Ruler of Pride Rock, 8-cost uninkable, 4/9 quest for 4. On play, exert all cards in your Inkwell, and then return 2 of them at random to your hand. And whenever this character quests, ready all cards in your Inkwell. So yeah, if you are able to ink nice and high, and even just playing him, you get the +2. But if he can stick, and then you can get like a huge turn from your ink, then hey, Awesome. We've got 2 copies of Hideaway, which is a 2-cost inkable action. Put chosen item or location into their player's inkwell, face down and exerted, so a cheaper way of dealing with items with locations. 4 copies of Friends, 2 copies of Let It Go as spot removal. We've got 2 Queen's Castle, 2 copies of the Library. And then we're also playing 1 copy of Merlin, Intellectual Visionary. 6-cost uninkable, 3/7, quest for 2. Shift 5 on another character named Merlin, of which we're running 4 goat, 2 rabbit, and 4 crab, so lots of targets here. And on play, if you use shift to play him, search your deck for any card, put that card into your hand, which is obviously an incredible tutor effect. And it is perhaps how we are justifying the 1 copy of Second Star to the Right. 10-cost uninkable, sing together 10. Chosen player draws 5 cards. Absolutely bonkers. I keep forgetting to mention this T-Bow as well as another way of ramping early, but from your hand. But again, if we're drawing a lot, then we should be able to circumvent that. Words. Nonetheless, this list looks so good. Chad also on the 4 Cogsworth, so maybe that's something I need to listen to, and I'm sure if once I actually get around to actually playtesting this deck a little more, then I will eventually see the value. Now, don't get me wrong, I see there can be niche circumstances where it can be really cool, and obviously the bounce synergy, but I don't know, but coming up twice as a 4 of in Blurple list, so that's probably all you need to know. But yeah, Chad, absolutely love this list. Love that you made top 4 with it. This looks so much fun. Congratulations to them. Alright, going into top 8, we've got the first of 2 Ruby Amethyst lists with a few fairly unique card choices. Our low end, we've got 3 copies of Chernabog, 3 copies of Rafiki, and 2 copies of Magic Broom. So 8 in total, choosing to play lower counts so that we can fit in all 3, which I don't hate because Rafiki isn't always going to be necessary, and obviously the draw from Chernabog and Brooms is good. So I don't hate it, running 3 copies of Kuzco, which obviously synergizes really well with the 3 Merlin Crab we're running, where those 4 Snake, 4 Fox, 4 Goat, 4 Rabbit. 4 copies of the Emboldened Warrior Sisu, who gets +1 strength for every card in your opponent's hand, and is a shift target for the 1 Sisu Empowered Sibling that we're running, which is obviously a half-board clear for all characters of 2 strength or less, which a lot of decks get really hurt by this, and 5/4 quest for 3 is a very nice stat line. We've got 4 Maui for board control, 2 Tremaine, 2 Medusa, 4 Friends, 4 Brawl, 3 Be Prepared. We're on a split of 3 Queen's Castle and 2 copies of the Library. And then 2 one-ofs. We've got 1 copy of Magicka Dispel, 4-cost inkable, 2 5 quests for 1. And during opponent's turns, if an effect would cause you to discard, you don't discard. So things like You Have Forgotten Me, Sudden Chill, A Whole New World being a really big target for it. And then 1 copy of Lumiere. 2-cost inkable, 2/2, quest for 1. Your other characters get +1 strength, which as well as just upsetting math and helping you to get into range of more opposing bodies. Like Rafiki plus Lumiere is an answer to Daisy, as long as they don't play a bodyguard onto, then it's an answer. But also just like this snowballs, like things that could be removed by Brawl or Sisu or Under the Sea sometimes now aren't being removed, such as Chernabog's Followers. The Merlin Rabbit is a big one, the Magicka Dispel, and then anything that has 3 is no longer being taken out by Medusa. So I really like the Lumiere. Let's put it this way, I've never actually used him in any of my Ruby Amethyst lists. I think I like the idea more than actually being willing to commit to it, but it does make a lot of sense. I don't know how often this would have actually came up as a one-of, but I love the inclusion, and this list looks pretty good, so congratulations to Keith. And our other Ruby Amethyst list, we have Reed. So for those 1-drops, we've got 4 Chernabog and 4 Rafiki. So a few players agreeing with me that Rafiki feels pretty good at the moment. We've got a standard bounce package here, but also 3 copies of that Madam Mim Elephant thrown in. We are running 4 copies of the Flynn Rider Frenemy, 2-cost inkable, 2/2, quest for 1. And at the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more strength than each opposing character, gain 3 lore, which can just be incredible early lore ramp, and even later on in the game, if they don't have an answer, then this can just close that gap. As well as the 3 Emboldened Warrior and 2 Empowered Sibling. We're also running 2 copies of the Daring Visitor, 3-cost uninkable, 1/1, quest for 1, evasive, and when you play this character, banish chosen character with 1 strength or less. I've been saying for a while that, for this meta, that I feel like I've been tempted to add in 1 copy of this Sisu, because, I mean, stuff that was already around, like Flavisham is a great target for this, but Daisy's a great target for this, and there's a lot of like opposing Rafikis, like just like keep an eye on all the cards that have 1 strength or less, then this can just immediately remove. And then it's an evasive, it can sting friends on the other side, and it's just another shift target for your Floodborn Sisu. So I really like the inclusion of the Daring Visitor. We've got 2 copies of the Elsa 5th Spirit, who we've already discussed. I'm not sold on her in this deck, to be honest, but I'm here to be proved wrong. I'm looking at all the data, so if it becomes a common thing, then maybe I'll be interested in trying it out. Not a huge fan myself. We've got a 2/2 Splitter Ladies, 4 Friends, 3 Brawl, 3 B Prep, and 4 Queen's Castle. Looks super nice. Yeah, like I'd probably play 4 of the Emboldened Warrior and 1 of the Daring Visitor, but I think the 3/2 split is perfectly fine. I'm not sold on the Elephant yet. I think Steel needs to have more of a grip on the overall meta, which I don't think it has at the moment. That's not to say I think that Steel is bad by any means. I just think the meta is so open. And I think it's mainly Steel decks where you're going to get the most utility out of that. Obviously, it can still always just be good because it's a bounce effect and it's a big body, but I think I'd be more inclined to cut the Mims or the Elsas probably. I think probably just to find room for. I do think 4th Brawl at the moment is still important. Like Diablo, not so much. I don't think we're going to see him all that often, but I know some players are jamming the Robin Hood, the Ursa Deceiver of all. There's still just a lot of targets for Brawl, but at the same time, you're running 2 Daring Visitor, so I think probably at least go up to 4 B Prep, but this list actually looks really tidy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Elephant is worth an immediate inclusion, but I especially love the Daring Visitor, so huge congratulations to Reed. All right, 2 lists left to look at. First of all, we have some Ruby Sapphire with, again, a bit of spice in here. Hot spice, Dragonfire spice. Let's talk about it straight away. We got 4 copies of Dragonfire, people. 5 cost, uninkable, banish, chosen character. I love it. I love to see it. And I think with the amount of people that are running things like Mufasa and Clarabelle, then this is super online, along with like loads of things that were already like perfectly viable targets like Big Sisu, Cinderella Stout-Hearted, Tinker. Like there's loads of good targets for Dragon's Fire. 4 does seem like a lot, but we are a Fishbone Quill deck, so I kind of don't hate it. And hey, maybe a finally excuse for some people to get out the promo Dragon's Fire that they got from a DLC. But let's look at our ramp. We've got 4 copies of Tipo for a turn 2 ramp, 4 copies of Judy Hopps on play, banish an item, and the owner of that item draws a card, which you can use on your own items if you really feel the need, but this is obviously better for like Fishbone Quills, dimes from your opponent, Amethyst Chromacon, things like that. But 4 copies, wow. Duskquest for 2, 4 Flavisham for insane card draw, 4 Maui for the board control. We're running, for Sisus, we've got 4 of the Daring Visitor, 2 of the Emboldened Warrior, and 3 of the Empowered Sibling. And we are running 3 copies of that Ice Block so that we can get more characters into range for Daring Visitor or Empowered Sibling. No copies of Brawl in here at all. To be fair, I suppose with Sisu and Ice Block, like it's not really needed. So I do get it. 4 copies of Develop Your Brain, 4 Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, 4 Let It Go for more removal. That's a lot of removal. 3 Be Prepared, 4 Porpoisicle, 4 Fishbone Quill, and 3 copies of the Ruler of Pride Rock. Yeah, this looks good. I really like the Dragonfires. 4 Judy Hopps is a lot. Like, I mean, should have good mirror, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not sold on the 4 Judy Hopps. I like the Sisu split, even though I like the 3 cost Inkable Emboldened Warrior. I think she in herself is just really good. So I'd probably be more inclined to go 3-3, something like that, or 4-2. And yeah, 4 Dragon's Fire, 4 Let It Go. I mean, just raising the odds that you're always going to have that removal. Things like no Tamatoa in here. Like, mad. Kind of mad, but kind of want to try it. Congratulations to Phil. And our final list, courtesy of Chris, we have some Amethyst Steel Jafar. Absolutely love it. Let's look at our boy. We've got Jafar, Striking Illusionist, 7 cost Inkable, 4/5, Quest for 1, Shift 5 on one of our Jafars, Evasive, and Power Beyond Measure. During your turn, while this character is exerted, whenever you draw a card, gain 1 lore. So the way that we're going to be drawing cards in this deck is obviously we've got 4 copies of A Whole New World. So if you exert with Jafar, then that's an instant 7. And if you sing it with Jafar, and then if you've got maybe another character on board that can sing Whole New World, then this can absolutely close games. 4 copies of Friends on the other side, running 4 copies of the Amethyst Chromacon, which people were like, Aggro's going to take full advantage of this, but Jafar was like, oh, let me have a go. 2-cost inkable item, exert, each player may draw a card. So just gain 1 lore. And you're still drawing cards. You absolutely love to see it. And then we also have 4 copies of the Blue Fairy. 2-cost inkable, 1/1, quest for 1, evasive. And whenever you play a Floodborn, you may draw a card. So for Floodborns, of course, Jafar himself is a Floodborn. We are running a 4/4 Robin Hood line. We have 2 copies of Giant Fairy Tinkerbell. Nothing to shift on to, but just from playing her, if we've got Blue Fairy on board, we can draw a card. And we're also running a 4/4 Archimedes line. 4 of the 1-drop 2/2. My old friend from Chapter 1 days. Archimedes was my go-to. And then we've got 4 copies of the Electrified Owl. 5-cost inkable, 1/4, quest for 2, shift 3, evasive, and challenger 3. So when challenging, it becomes a 4/4. So this is super cool. Problem is he just gets removed to Brawl, but it's another, at the end of the day, it's another character where we have a 1-drop and then we can shift on 3 and then immediately sing our 5-cost songs. So that in itself increases the value of Archimedes, because even if he is instantly removed, as long as he immediately sang or sometimes even challenged or something, then he's getting his value. And it's just another character that we can get down hopefully cheap and early, so that we can get a big whole new world turn off, as I suggested earlier. Have Archimedes on board already, who's dry. Shift Jafar, sing Whole New World with Jafar, gain 7, draw into another whole world, whole new world, hopefully, and then sing the other one with Archimedes and just close out games. I am absolutely in love with it. For our baby Jafars, we've got 3 copies of the Royal Vizier, 2-cost inkable, 3/2, quest for 1, and you get evasive during your turn, which also is not irrelevant for evasive characters or things like Diablo at the Cove, even though I don't think you're going to see that very much this season. But nonetheless, he's a 2-cost shift target for Jafar, so you love it. And we're also seeing 4 copies of the Keeper of Secrets. This was probably my favourite art of Chapter 1. In love with it. 4-cost inkable, 0/5, quest for 2, and this character gets +1 strength for each card in your hand. And obviously, if we're a Whole New World deck, we are hoping to quite consistently have a high card count. But this is a shift target for Jafar that, depending on your card count, maybe can be removed by Sisu Daring Visitor or Brawl. Again, if you've got enough cards, then you stay out of it. It's just harder to remove. Zeus can also get rid of you, but at least it's not immediately falling to something like Let the Storm Rage on, and it's harder to remove with Strength for a Raging Fire. I do think there's an argument to putting the Dreadnought in, but I do like this Keeper of Secrets, and overall this deck looks super spicy. Also 3 copies of Fire the Cannons to prevent shift lines and get rid of annoying things like Flynn. I'm in love with Jafar. Chris, thank you so much for making top 8 with this list. You love to see it. Huge congratulations to them. And that is it for the top 8 deck list for the Cerberus Den event. So 28 players, definitely a reasonable field. But as I've said before, this is a venue that's well known for attracting a very high skill players with a very skillful players. It's been a long day. But yeah, love the list. Love to see Blurple doing well. SteelSong taking another dub. Another couple of different ways of running Ruby Amethyst. No cow this time. The cow was nowhere to be seen. And of course, great to see some Jafar. What do you think of these lists? And what do you think of the meta so far? I'll hear all about it down below. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support. And we'll see you soon.